Hello, welcome back to this channel. Today's going to be a very fun video because today is going to be another informational plant and garden tour. Now if you guys saw my latest one, we just did, actually the last few ones, we've just done outside. Today there's a lot to talk about in here with progress and just the 2.0 setup that I really do want to talk about. There's also some other things I do want to talk about with Go For It Produce, but instead of talking about that at the very end, I'm just going to be talking about it randomly as today's video goes by. And then for the end half of today's video, we're going to be going outside all over the garden to really learn and check out how much stuff is thriving. There's so much to talk about, so before we do go and start today's video, please subscribe, hit the notification on all so you're not missing our video, and please like this video. Let's go and start today's video. Now, I did a lot today to try to move some stuff around. I didn't do a video about it because, well, at the end of the day, I don't think many people are just going to want to watch me just kind of move some stuff around, and that's the video. So today was just kind of a maintenance day. We basically filled up the fish tank. We did a lot of other stuff, kind of what I was saying a second ago. We just kind of reorganized the room in a way, tried to make the most out of the space we had instead of wasting energy. So over here, aquaponics is doing really, really well. I've really noticed a lot of growth lately. If you guys, well, I'm just gonna say this, I've made a few oopses in the past few months with the aquaponics system to really just good in a way, but bad because, number one, bad because, well, the plants died, but number two, the good thing about that is I learned from that mistake, and when I do start my dream business, the odds of that mistake happening again is very, very small. We have basil growing. Checking out the roots are looking phenomenal. After looking at each root and examining them, I've really noticed that none of them have really started to have root rot and other problems. Those roots don't look as great, but they definitely are growing new roots, so that's kind of a plus from the day. Those roots look insane, and actually it looks like the plant might be trying to bloom. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. But checking out this strawberry plant, those roots look pretty good also. We got some random things of lettuce that we had some extras and we just didn't have room up here anymore for other stuff. I don't know why there's lettuce in this. I'm just gonna have to kind of take that. That is weird. Okay, but looks like there's some lettuce over here. I don't know what happened during the seed process, but that is interesting. So, just kind of looking throughout here, we got a lot of parsley. The parsley is not gonna look amazing for a while. It'll take about 2 weeks before it really starts to just explode in growth. And then over here we have cilantro. The cilantro slowly is going to grow, but very excited for that to really grow. Have a lot more progress with that. Then I have grand lettuce. I haven't fully examined those roots yet, but from what it looks like, they're looking pretty good. Going throughout the rest of this, we have red. Checking out other roots. Definitely, the roots don't look as good, but they are growing new roots, so I'm going to call that a success there. Going down here, we have kind of the solid mixes. Those roots do not look great. Let's check out a bigger plant. Those roots look all right. We have the gourmet mix. That looks phenomenal. Over here, we have two more kinds. We have butter crunch. That looks actually really, really good. And then we have tango lettuce. All right, so those are looking really, really well. Very excited for that. So I think for now, plant-wise, this is doing very, very well. I am starting to look for different alternatives for a lot of other stuff. So I really want to hear from you guys about really how to build a biofilter. Because at the end of the day, isn't a biofilter just filters to take out the solids? Because once you actually think about it, that's really the one big thing. It also, I guess it also helps kind of help the batter stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to find the word choice. I don't know what word I can use there, but just all that. Here's a better way to describe it. Looks like some of this grow lights just turned off for the night, but just all the bad stuff in the water from all the waste kind of survives a little bit more in there. I'm gonna have to try to find the word I'm looking for, but really stumbling there. So just kind of going through this area, it is doing very, very good. As you guys know, I'm trying to look for better alternatives because I'm going to double the size of the entire system, meaning I'll also have to double the size of the biofilter and that. I will say biofilter can easily withstand a fish tank way bigger, but the problem is the fish I have in here are used in the restroom constantly, and the biofilter can't take that much waste. So I'm trying to find a different alternative to where it can store the waste a little bit longer than what this is, because I do have to clean that out every other week, and I do feel like after having this the last 3 months, I do feel like it's starting to get a little bit clogged up, and I've had to put some hoses in it, trying to power wash it out almost, and just a lot of problems that I've noticed currently. But there's gonna be a lot of changes I'm gonna be doing once the system's being built. Going over here, oh, also the fish in the aquaponics system fish tank is doing really, really good too. I meant to mention that a second ago, but for some reason I just had a really hard time finding the word there I needed. I'm growing a lot of beautiful seascape strawberries. Love these so much. I'm gonna be coming back to these in a second, so don't go anywhere until I do talk about those even more. I'm growing microgreens. The microgreens were actually put right there for a few days. I did a video on that, on everything you need to know about growing microgreens. I will probably do a video tomorrow, but I'm gonna let these get a little bit more light, where they look just a little bit better for tomorrow's video. So these are looking pretty good, and I'm very, very satisfied with how they're looking so far. It's starting to germinate. Over here, there's a lot of amazing stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with the basil. I might bring out the basil, I might not. To be honest, I probably will at this point because it's already growing. I have oregano. I doubt that'll go back outside because I already have some outside, and oregano does not grow fast. Kind of going over here, I have a lot of beautiful flowers. I don't really know if I'm going to use them at this point because just the garden's already completely full. Going down here, we ended up moving the strawberries right there, and the bunching onions are starting to really thrive. I have lemongrass right there, and then a little bit of basil left, just left there. So I might move some of the basil in different areas, but that's kind of where that's at right now. And then turning around over here, definitely a lot of stuff happening. I'm just kind of letting the plant dry up now and working with that. I have noticed that the rosemary plant is kind of dying out almost. Over here we're growing beautiful tomatoes. I have noticed that they are starting to try and bloom. I am seeing one right here. I'm trying to look for the ones that are blooming. We have two that are blooming right there. Actually, more than two. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3 kind of, and then we have 4 right there, and that's about to be ready. Then I'm also growing 2 different plants. Dill, you can kind of see it peeking out there. I'm also growing mustard, and the mustard's kind of just taken over the entire shelf. So there's that. Definitely a lot of cool stuff. I still need to know how to do mustard because I really don't know. I didn't expect it to bloom in here. That's kind of what I'm working with right now, but this is doing good. Definitely trying to bloom, so that's quite interesting, but that is definitely doing very, very successful. Now talking about what I was talking about a second ago, which is going to be the seascape strawberries. These are amazing. I've done multiple videos on these. I ended up planting them twice. The top row, well, some of the top row, more like these 2 trays right here, I planted about 3 weeks ago. No, I planted them about a month and a half ago. Just time flies by so quickly when you're really working on these beautiful plants. Also, I ended up planting more after because I didn't realize the strawberries would show up so amazing, so healthy. So I ended up placing an order for about 50 more plants, and that's about 50 right there, but there's also a ton in here. So this is the 2.0 setup. I'm really trying to find more ways to grow stuff even more efficiently. So this is the setup. I'm really trying to work on a lot of different ways I can grow. Some of the stuff I've had mistakes I'm trying to fix. So some of the mistakes I've had is plants being overwatered and then can't dry up. And then in microgreens cases, they go through both of those and then they start to mold. So I have fans now being installed, and I'm gonna start working with those to see if that is one of the most efficient things we can have, or if I need a different design. But you probably noticed the light was significantly different in the germination room. That's because I'm trying to find different LEDs and work with those. After I've done a lot of research, I've actually realized, because at some point for like 2 weeks, I was on the chart of wanting to officially go fully into just pink light, which is what that room's in right now. But after I've done a lot of research and a lot of research on the specific plants I'm hoping to grow, the conclusion I came down to was the grow lights and LEDs I'm working with right now, the pinkish white, are perfect. The perfect thing you could possibly have for this type of a setup. So I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with the other grow lights. Luckily, I did buy 2. I have one that I opened and then the other one I did not open. I'm thinking I'm going to try to return the one that's unopened, and I might just kind of keep my hands on the other ones just in case I might need it later on once I do start my dream business. But at the same time, a lot of the other stuff in here is good. I have noticed that this company makes some really high quality grow lights. So I think for this next setup, I'm going to order those pink whitish grow lights from them, because I really noticed that they just are a lot more high quality. So that is interesting. But for the most part, very, very excited to work with these absolutely incredible plants. And these are doing very, very well. I do feel like these plants are growing, but something I realized is with these pink lights, they're almost reaching higher than what they need. And I almost feel like these ones, just at the end of the day, once I actually put both of those, like the pinkish white on the charts, the pros and cons, and the pros and cons on these pink lights, pinkish purple, just the pros and cons, the pros on the pinkish white are much better. Working with these grow lights is nice, but it's also it's a horrible, really, really bad process to work with these when you're trying to tell if the plant somehow is either about to die out, either by overwatering or a disease. It's very, very hard to tell if the plant is ready to start flowering. Just it's a horrible, horrible light to really work with. So the most ideal situation would be to turn it off and then have different lights, the main room lights on. But that process is going to suck because this setup is not going to be designed to turn back on, off and on constantly. So this setup is doing good. I also have microgreens to see how they react with different LEDs. But so far, I'm going to see where these get. I'll most likely keep the 6 I have right now and just work with those later on. But I'm thinking, for now, I'm just going back on board with the other grow lights. And these are good. They're just not my favorite, I will say that. But the shelf and the fans is what I'm hoping to work with. The shelf is absolutely incredible. What's actually insane is I'm hoping to get 14 of those shelves throughout this entire room. I'm going to have a row right here. Now, obviously, that room is a mess. It has to be completely cleared out. That'll be a very, very long process. Most likely, I'll start that coming up in the next few months, most likely July-ish. And a lot of the system will be turned off. Most likely, the aquaponics system will just have to be worked around. And these shelves will just have to be taken apart, moved to a different location, while I can clean up this room. The floor, well, it's on the table right now to possibly redo the floor. And there is concrete under, so that might be the most ideal situation to just rip out the carpet and work with that. But this setup is going to be huge. Notice how these shelves have 3 and then the other one has 4. So I'm going to be upgrading it with 1 more shelf. And I'm going to be using a lot of other different ways to grow, with using nutrients a lot more throughout the entire system instead of just aquaponics, and a lot of incredible stuff. I'm really, really hoping to, so I have 5 of these shelves right now. The other shelf is exactly the same, except a little bit wider and much, much taller. So I'm going to have a row right here, about a row right here where the walk-in space is right now. I'm going to have another one most likely right here, and the aquaponics will most likely be not against, I'm not going to say they're against the window, but they're going to be closer to the windows than how they are now. So very, very excited about that. Also, I just did a video that was actually kind of hard to film with my business, and just kind of letting everyone know, all the fans, on that this is Tropical Twist Slime. I run and own 3 businesses. This room, which we are testing with beautiful plants right now on this channel, and a few others here and there too, but mostly this channel you're watching this on right now. I own the slime shop, which is Tropical Twist Slime, and I also do Lego investing on the side. So I just sadly did a video the other day ago talking about kind of the game plan with this room. Even though I've learned so many incredible stuff, the way I kind of see it is it's time to kind of move on, go on to the next thing that's really exciting in life. And really, I started this business about 2 years before I built this setup, and over the last year and a half of having this setup, I've slowly become more obsessed and loved working in that room a little bit more than this room. Because at the end of the day, slime is super fun because you can be super creative. But at the end of the day, once you actually think about it, you're walking in the room either packaging orders, filming videos, or making slime. So there are some days, and kind of recently it's kind of felt more like that, where just the excitement there was at the very beginning, the first year and a half, just is still there kind of, but it's just not as extreme. The setup is absolutely amazing. So once I do kind of do that last video in about a year, after we can sell out of everything in here, I will do kind of the final video thanking everyone for their support and everything in here. I'm going to try as hard as possible to reuse everything instead of just putting stuff in like a storage area and just having it collect dust. A lot of the shelves in here will be used for Lego investing, which will be very, very helpful. The tables will be used for Go Forth produce. So this giant table will be used in the other room for just basically the most important part of planting. So all the planting, putting down seeds, soaking seeds, everything. Now we do have a germination room, which is very, very dark. So a lot of the stuff that needs that kind of a germination surrounding will go in there, but this table will be perfect for that. But obviously it has had a lot of slime and chemicals that just we don't need for edible produce. So there will be a lot of work on this table to clean it up. I'm going to be trying to get a company to help clean it, just do some testing on the table to make sure everything is as clean as it possibly can. Same thing with the other 2 tables. The other 2 tables will find a home in the setup too. I have 2 spots that will need a table. The main one being, I'm trying to find the word there, but that table I'm thinking will most likely be the harvest table, where we will harvest all the microgreens and all of that. Then it'll go throughout an entire system. That'll be cleaned for a lot of the lettuce and a lot of other stuff. So that table will be very important. But this table, well, I was saying a second ago, is going to be used for planting stuff. And I'm thinking that table over there might be best for maybe packaging orders when we do, because the way I'm going to operate this business is in the very beginning, I'm going to be doing farmers markets in the very beginning to kind of help get the name around as much as possible. I'm also going to be kind of selling directly to families by either delivery or pickup. And there's still a lot of stuff to work out there. And I'm also going to be eventually selling to grocery stores and restaurants. That will come much later on once the system is a lot more just used and I can trust the system a lot more and know exactly how it runs. So that's going to be the main plan. So a lot of the room won't be used much, but I'm very, very fortunate for the surrounding of this room because there is a giant Bowflex right there. You can kind of see it right there. That will be moved in here. Well, before I actually built Tropical, it was sitting in this room. So that's kind of pretty cool that it's just going back and forth from room to room. But it'll be moved, instead of being in the exact middle, it'll be kind of moved over here. And I'm going to eventually get a really nice sliding door glass refrigerator that will kind of back up to this wall. It'll hook up to that outlet or up there possibly. And then I'm thinking I might put the table somewhere. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a refrigerator right here and then have the table next to it, because the The refrigerator will have to kind of put off some heat, and I don't want it to go in front of the door because just having the shelf right here isn't the most convenient for getting stuff in and out from the door. I'm also looking at getting some possible carts, getting a robot vacuum that'll kind of clean up the room at night once no one's in here. But most importantly, this setup right here. This setup is just kind of the bar of the room. It's been used multiple times for different stuff, for like storing boxes. You can actually see some Lego sets that we put back there from just my Lego channel, building Legos on that channel. But this will be completely cleared off. This will be a giant packaging room, so everything will be packaged over here. I'm gonna have this will kind of be the area where we do a lot of the computer work. So a lot of the kind of filling out work, making sure we have all the totals for everything, just all the behind the scenes stuff will happen over here on the computer. We'll also have a really nice area over here too with a lot of scales, a lot of other stuff. I'm still kind of figuring out where stuff will go, because if the harvest table is going to be against this wall, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, like for microgreens, the microgreens won't be washed because then it brings down their shelf life significantly. Same with strawberries. So that means greens will be the only thing I'll be able to wash, and I will let my customers know that some of those stuff have not been washed. So I will recommend to the customer that they do that. I am still working on a lot of health guideline stuff to make sure everything in the planning phase is being planned correctly and nothing is just wrong and something that could get us in trouble eventually. So I'm trying to work with those. Now with the business not being fully designed out yet, it's a little bit harder to do that, but this summer I'm going to be working with a lot of amazing people to help this idea and dream come true. So very, very, very excited, and really excited to really get a lot done with this dream business, and we'll see how this does. Now it does seem like I'm trying to rush, but I'm giving myself time. The goal is throughout the next year we'll be able to plan it out, and then about a year from, in about a month, a year from there, we will start construction. And I might start construction a little bit earlier so I can grow a lot of stuff that will eventually go outside on these shelves. But at the end of the day, who knows? We'll have to just kind of change stuff up as time goes by, but definitely a lot of cool stuff going on. Let's go ahead and go outside really quickly. There's a lot of amazing stuff to talk about out in the garden. Now, I will say, especially today, I've never felt it feels so amazing today. It honestly feels like the most perfect summer Florida type of day. Feels amazing. So I bet the plants are really going to be looking phenomenal tomorrow, because they're really going to be taking a lot of today. Talking about over here, I ended up planting beefsteak tomatoes. Those will be very, very cool. They don't look amazing right now because they were just planted yesterday. I'm also growing a ton of lettuce throughout all of this. I'm growing romaine in just one pot, black Simpson in just that one pot. Now, what's weird is I'm reusing a lot of the soil from last year. I don't know why cilantro keeps growing in everything, but I guess I must have grew a lot more cilantro and these are just regrowing for some reason. So, I mean, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I mean, just 13 in those two pots. So, don't know what's going on there. I'll probably have to just kind of have a pulling day where I just pull everything out of the soil that I don't want growing. I'm growing oak leaf in those two pots. I'm growing a beautiful butter crunch right there. Those are doing very well. And then in those two pots, I'm growing a beautiful gourmet mix. I'm also growing parsley, cilantro. Over here, the basil actually got attacked by an animal a few days ago, so it doesn't look as best as it has in the past. Asparagus just went in today, or went out yesterday. What am I even saying there? But spinach went out yesterday too. Same thing with bunching onions. And to be honest, those three are very interesting because I just planted those and I've never grown them outside before. I've attempted to grow them indoors. Bunching onions that I talked about indoors, that's the first time I'm growing it, and it has taken a very long time to grow. Spinach, never grown it. Grew it once indoors and it did really, really bad. And then I'm growing asparagus too, and never grown that before. I've maybe had asparagus once in my life, so that is interesting, and that'll be a very fun experience to try that. I'm also growing rosemary right there, and I'm growing spearmint right there, and oregano. Very excited about all of those, And I have noticed the spearmint is growing so incredibly fast. I also planted green peppers, and I don't know why that plant right there just looks so bad, but that looks a lot better. Probably should have fixed that yesterday, but that is looking really, really good. Very excited about this area because just every day during middle of summer, just kind of the peak week of summer, kind of middle of June, it's just the most rewarding thing after kind of the summer family trip, just coming home, kind of just cooling down a little bit and just kind of getting back into my normal schedule. I just can come back out here, kind of take a little bit of a rest after a really fun vacation, pick some beautiful peas, pick some other plants, maybe harvest some potatoes possibly, have some beautiful spearmint, some other plants. It's just the most rewarding feeling because I do feel like a lot of people that just don't have a garden don't realize the reward it really does feel. Because I do say that is a strong statement there, but I will say before I had a garden, we grew stuff on our deck. You can kind of see a pot right there already. I did think that was the most rewarding thing ever. Every day, early in the morning, before like church some days, some other stuff, maybe some summer school events, I could always come outside, pick some peas, and it'd just be kind of just the exciting part of the morning. I feel like ever since I built this setup last year, it's just been so exciting. It's seriously every day when I wake up, it's kind of that just boost of motivation to get out of bed, come outside and film some beautiful videos for you guys. So I really do want to thank you all so incredibly much for watching all these videos and helping support some of my big dreams. I do really like to dream big, and I'm really working on some beautiful setups. And just this is the very beginning. Even though this is my second year doing this, there's still so much stuff to really work with. I am really hoping to keep filming after I build Go Forth Produce. I'm still trying to figure out how I can incorporate kind of the setup indoors, because the setup indoors is mainly based off of just learning about how plants grow. I'm hoping to have at least maybe 5 to 10 shelves dedicated towards what I'm doing right now to just learn about how plants grow and just all of that. Instead of just selling those two, I can just learn about those, try them, learn about it, and possibly eventually grow them a lot more and start selling those two in the business too. So very excited to really add that to the channel. Also, you guys will get some really cool videos behind the scenes. I'm still trying to figure out some social media platforms, if I should just start a YouTube channel for Go Forth Produce, or if I should just base everything off of this channel too, and I will. So there's definitely a lot of planning to do. It just gets me so excited for what's in store, because there's going to be some very cool things coming up and very awesome opportunities that I'm going to be working with. So very excited, and I really do want to hear your guys' opinions on this in the comments, because at the end of the day, even though I have a lot of great ideas, I feel like some of the best ideas and best decisions come from you guys giving your opinion on my idea. Because I made some really cool ideas, but at the end of the day, I've changed a lot of stuff from your guys' comments that were some of the best things ever. Because like some of the setups indoors, some things on the aquaponics system, that I read some of your guys' comments and slightly changed it up. And now I'm looking back at that, like thinking, what was I doing? So I really do want to thank you all so incredibly much for commenting, because at the end of the day, you guys don't even have to comment. You can just kind of watch this video and then click on to the next one. So I really do want to thank you all so incredibly much for supporting this channel and putting your time to supporting my big dreams here. So I'm also growing blue crop blueberry, Blu-ray blueberry too, and some of my most favorite plants ever. What's actually interesting is last year was my first time planting strawberries, and to be honest, I've grown it once indoors, one strawberry ever indoors, and let me tell you what, the plant ended up dying after. So very excited for these plants, because this is my first time actually growing it outdoors, coming outside and just being super excited to see some beautiful strawberries and just try those. Lots and lots of dog barking, but a lot of beautiful stuff to look forward to throughout all of these, and it's gonna be a very cool strawberry season. I'm also very excited to grab some pieces of paper and kind of chart and just chart down everything about everything I've just really learned from these strawberry plants, and I can incorporate those into the idea of growing those indoors to make them be as successful as possible. Definitely a lot of barking, wow. But I will also say I'm growing potatoes over here, 4 things of it, 2 onions, and then over here I'm growing little carrots, which are just kind of finger carrots, and then normal sized carrots, the carrots you usually think of when you think of like farmers markets and just growing carrots in general. You're probably looking at these on top thinking, why on earth does it look weird? That's because I'm growing sugar peas too on top. Now, what I learned last year was they do take a very long time to come up. I don't know what happened this year, but they came up much faster than I was assuming they would. So the potatoes are already starting to come up, and the onions too. But I'm still very, very excited because they do take quite some time and they don't really put that much stuff out. Wow, there's definitely a lot of barking going on, but lots of stuff over here. I think that is it for this little section right here. Over here, there's definitely a lot of stuff. There's mustard growing, radish growing, beet, and beans. Now that I think about it, and kind of from what the sky looks like, it looks like it's gonna rain tonight. Wow, there's a lot of barking. Okay, but over here I'm growing corn. I'm also growing sugar peas, and this is kind of the main sugar pea field. And then over here, I'm growing a beautiful, beautiful melon field with 3 different types of melons growing in here: cantaloupe, honeydew, and watermelon. Very, very excited for all of those. In this giant pot, you're probably wondering, what on earth is that thing in the middle? That's an elephant ear. If you guys have the opportunity to grow that in kind of the where you live in the climate, I would strongly recommend it. They're not incredibly expensive. I'm not going to say they're cheap because they're not super cheap, but I will say middle of July, they are incredible plants. I will say that they're extremely beautiful. I think that is it for this area. You know what? Let's just walk up on the side really quickly. Definitely a lot of beautiful irises starting to grow. Very excited about this. Just realized the grass is completely wet and I'm in socks, so that's interesting. But I'm growing sunflowers right here. Definitely a lot of cool stuff to look forward to right here. Looks like there's some beautiful flowers starting to grow too with pink. So that's very, very cool. To be honest, I planted so many sunflower seeds. I don't even know exactly what kinds of sunflowers are in what area, but there's 3 rows and probably maybe 200 sunflower seeds. So it'll be interesting. Over here, this is extremely cool too. I'm growing cosmos, California poppy seeds, and golden daisies. I guess now that my socks are completely soaked, I'll walk up here. And in this beautiful area, this little area right here, I'm growing maybe 400 cucumber seeds. Definitely overplanted, but at the end of the day, those are so fun to grow. Just kind of ignore the barking for that area, but definitely a lot more to talk about. You know what? I'm just gonna walk over here really quickly. That is a very, very loud dog. Going over here, I am growing. Well, this is basically the main tomato field. It was last year, and that's kind of the idea for this year. I'm growing cherry tomatoes and spring tomatoes. Those are very, very beautiful. I ended up planting even more this year and on the side, and that's where we're gonna go now. So here's kind of what I like to call the second garden. So there's kind of the main garden with hundreds of plants growing, but this is also kind of the side area where there's just kind of the last minute garden in a way. We're growing, well, actually there's a lot more added this year because last year those nets were just the only things that were growing. This year we're growing some bags over here. We're growing 3 things of marigolds. To be honest, originally I thought these 2 pots were zinnias. That one right there is zinnias, but I could have sworn I had zinnias in both of those, but those 3 definitely look like marigolds to me. We also planted that this year. Last year we had a bush sadly die out, and it was very, very sad and disappointing and very difficult to get out of the ground. But after a few hours of shoveling, cutting, and an incredible root structure, my arms definitely hurt after that, but definitely very, very sad and really disappointing to see that go because it had been growing for what, maybe 15 years? Is that how long it's been? Now that I actually think about that, that's insane. So over here, I'm growing cherry tomatoes, and those 2 areas, when I say the 2 areas, I'm talking about this side and that side of the netting. On this side of the netting, I'm growing cherry tomatoes also. I just ended up planting so many this year. On this side, I'm growing yellow peppers. On this side, I'm growing red peppers. And then on this side, I'm not growing a ton, but I'm growing a few green peppers. The other half of those were put in the pot in the back in the main garden, so that is very, very exciting. There's not much growing up here besides a ton of flowers. That'll look very, very good. Mostly purple, so very excited about that. But let's go on back to the garden where that'll be then video. So if you guys like these types of videos, please subscribe, hit the notification on all so you not miss our video, and please like this video. I really do want to honestly thank you all so incredibly much for watching today's video and supporting the channel. I completely forgot to mention this. Behind me, this is the pumpkin field growing area too. A lot of amazing stuff happening right there also. But just thank you all so incredibly much for watching today's video and supporting the channel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when we post next. Peace.